In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at the sine law and cosine law. So I've already discussed what the sine law is and cosine law is individually. I'll link that in the top right-hand corner if you need those lessons. But what we're going to be doing now is looking at mixing the questions together and deciding, do we use the sine law or do we use the cosine law? For the first question here, they want us to solve for the length of x here. Notice to use the sine law, you have to be in a situation where you have three of the four expressions that you want. So in this case here, like I have the x, but I do not have the corresponding angle here. But I can find that because I know that it has to add up to 180. So in this case here, we've got 124 is 124. And, subtract 180 from that, we're going to get here 56 degrees. So this angle in the left-hand corner is 56 degrees. So now I'm going to go x over sine of 56 is going to equal the length 10 in this case, divided by the sine of the corresponding angle, so sine of 100. And I can go ahead and isolate for x here. And when I isolate for x, I get approximately 8.42. All right, let's try another. So for this one here, again, I want to solve for length. So we're interested in length again. However, this time you'll notice here, I've got a situation where I have side, angle, side. And when you have side, angle, side, you can solve this using your cosine law. So I'm going to label my triangle A, B, C. And again, as we discussed here, they want me to solve for x. That's equivalent to solving for lowercase c. This will be lowercase a. This will be lowercase b. And when I go ahead and solve this here, we get what? Well, I'm looking to solve for c, so my equation is going to be c squared is sum of the squares of the other legs minus twice the product cos of capital C. So sub in what we have, so this will be 18 squared plus 26 squared minus 2 times 18 times 26 to the cos of 80 degrees. Punching that all in my calculator, we get approximately 837.47. And taking the square root of this, we get 28.94. Let's try another. So for this one here, we want to find angle this time. So I'm interested in the angle. Now if I did do the sine law, we'd have sine of theta over the length, which I have, sine of 70 over the corresponding length. So we're all set to use the sine law here. This will be sine of theta over 7 is sine of 70 over 25. I can go ahead and isolate for sine theta, in which case here we get the sine of theta is approximately 0.26. Taking my inverse here, we end up getting 15.07 degrees. Okay, let's take a look at another problem. So for this one here, we want to solve for the angle here. In this case here, I don't have any other internal angles. The only thing I have is the length of all the sides. Well, when you have the length of all the sides, we have a side situation, in which case we're going to use the cosine law. So let me label the triangle. We'll go A, B, C. In this case here, I'm looking to solve for angle B. So this will be lowercase b, lowercase c, lowercase a. If I'm looking to solve for angle B, I'm going to use the b squared formula for my cosine law. So I'm going to sum the squares of the other legs minus 2, the product of those legs, to the cos of b. B squared we know is 14. So this would be 14 squared is 9 squared plus 6 squared minus 2, 9 times 6. To the cos of the angle that I want. And this becomes 14 squared equals 9 squared plus 6 squared is equal to 117. Minus, again, you cannot subtract the 117 from the product of these three numbers here. We're going to have to compute that together. So if you take 2 times 9 times 6, you get 108 cos of b. 14 squared is 196. So now we're essentially solving for the cos of b here. So I'm going to subtract off. So continuing on here, we've got 196 minus the 117 is negative. Don't forget that minus sign. That's a common mistake students make. Divide across by the minus 108. And we get the cos of b is approximately equal to negative 0.73. Solving for b, we get b is approximately equal to 137 degrees. All right, let's try the next problem here. So again, this one here, I'm looking to solve for the angle theta here. So if I did do the sine law, we'd have sine of theta over 21, so that's good. We've got it sine of 24 over 30. So we've got sine of theta over 21 is sine of 24 over 30, in which case here the sine of theta is 21 sine 24 over 30. The sine of theta to 2 decimal places is 0.28, and taking our sine inverse, we get 16.54 degrees. All right, let's try another. So for this question here, we're looking to solve for the length. So if I can use the sine law here, it would be x over the sine of 80 degrees equals 25. Once again, I need this angle here. You'll notice 80 and 38 gives us 118. I need this to add up to 180, right? I need to get a 180 out of this. So 180 minus that 118 is going to give you 62. So this angle here is 62 degrees. So now I can set up my sine law with length in mind. So this would be x over sine of 80 is going to be 25 over sine of 62, in which case here we get x is equal to 25 sine of 80 over sine of 62, and we get approximately 27.88 for our length. All right, let's try another. So for this last question here, we're in a situation here I want to solve for x. I've got side angle side on this one here. So this is a side angle side question, and in which case here it's going to be the cosine law. So relabel, so this will be A, B, C, and you'll notice here across from angle B, we'll label lowercase b, obviously lowercase e, lowercase c. And now I'm looking to solve for length of b, so we're going to go b squared is sum of the squares of the other legs minus twice the product cos of that angle, in which case here we get b squared equals a squared is 18, or 18 squared, c is going to be 12 here, minus 2 times 18 times 12 to the cos of 32 degrees, and we get b squared is approximately equal to 101.64, and if I take my square root, we get approximately 10.08. And I just want to point out here, you'll notice when I did this solution, I went right from, I calculated this entire expression all on one operation on my calculator. I recommend you learn how to do that. It does help out quite a lot if you know how to use your calculator properly. It just reduces time and possibility of error. So a couple things I wanted to point out as you go through these problems. The answers you get, in some respects, you can check to see whether they make sense or not. Like for instance, let's look at this previous question here. Given to me in the problem, I knew that at 62 degrees, the opposite side had a length of 25. And they wanted me to find my length here, x. Because this angle on this side was larger, you would expect a larger angle has larger opposite side. So I would have expected to get a value larger than 25. And we did. We got 27.88. All right, so just there are some checks as you go through these to make sure that they make sense in terms of the values that you got. Like for instance, even this question here, notice it was given to me at 24 degrees. I had a measure of the opposite side of 30. Now they're asking me what corresponding angle gives you the measure of 21. I would expect my answer to be less than the 24 degrees, obviously. And if I check here, we got 16.54, right? And likewise, as you go through these problems here, you can sort of do that check just to see. It's a way you can check to see whether you made a calculation mistake or an error. All right, this concludes the lesson of sine law and cosine law. Thank you.